Okay, another episode. This one is going to be going into electric cars. It's what the Democrats are trying to push, clean and green and uh, solar panels and windmills and all that stuff. And they haven't set up anything, and they haven't told the people how much it's going to cost. Like the average home, one of my specialties, because I've been in electronics most of my life, is solar installations. And that's what I do. Now that I've retired, I just do that part time. And a house to be fully electrified by solar panels would cost between $40,000 to $50,000. So they're not. Most people can't afford that. 95% of the people in the country do not have an extra 50 grand. Okay, so, but I'm not going to go into the solar panels. I'm just going to go into electric cars to show you how ridiculous it is. The average solar electric car is $52,000. So they're not, you can't, it's not like buying an Elantra, a gasoline car, like an Elantra, a Hyundai Elantra, which is like 22,000, 24,000, something like that. These electric cars are super expensive. They're very tiny. You'd be cramped if you put two people into them. So you certainly don't want to be in an accident, because you're probably going to be dead. You get in an accident in one of these little electric cars. The other thing is there's very few used ones on. It's not like gasoline cars. You could buy get a really good deal on a used gasoline run engine or car. Very few electric cars are for sale except for the older ones. A woman just bought one that was 10 years old, and she didn't check into how the battery condition was. And she was only getting 45 miles before before the car stopped. 45 miles. It was like she could go 20 miles in each direction because the state of charge on the battery systems just degrades every year. And they're only guaranteed, the battery banks on even the brand new ones now are only guaranteed. Some vehicle manufacturers is 5-year warranty, and some is up to 8 years. And then the average price, well, like a Tesla, from what I found, if you had to replace the battery bank in a Tesla, it would be $12,000. Okay, so this woman wound up, she got a quote of some crazy price. I mean, I'm not even going to repeat the price she told me because it sounds totally off the wall. It was much higher than $12,000. And she just paid, I think she paid $8,000 for a 10-year-old electric vehicle. But, the people that had it sold it for a good reason. It wasn't getting, it was only going 45 miles before it go dead. The other issues is the Democrats haven't put any charging stations, any type of superstructure to charge these vehicles. You have to charge them at home. I've only seen 2 or 3 charging stations, and I just went 3,500 miles across the United States. And I only saw maybe 2 or 3. And there was only, like, at that charging station, a room for a few cars. What if millions of people have to go over to this, get off of gasoline, go to electric, it's going to take a decade and billions of dollars to put in the charging stations. So everybody, the millions of people, the masses out there, can charge their cars when they're driving to work or whatever. Otherwise, you go 40, 50 miles, and you have to turn around and go home to charge up your vehicle. I mean, their whole system is nothing's in place, and it doesn't make sense. And to get 10 years out of a vehicle, I mean, the vehicle gasoline cars can get 200,000 miles. They're only getting, and even higher. I mean, even the diesels can get 400,000 or 500,000 miles. The electric cars, they're only guaranteeing them up to 50, let's see, I wrote it down here. It depends on the manufacturer. Some are only guaranteed up to 57,000 miles before you might have to put 15 grand into a new battery bank. And that's assuming, and then you're going to have other expenses too. Now, they say you save $2,000 a year running them over gas, but they don't tell you the lack of longevity of these electric vehicles and the other things you're going to have to replace. Your normal things, obviously tires every, 5 years or so. And other working parts on these electric engines, which I won't go into because I haven't really researched that part of it either. How long does the parts last on these electric vehicles? I'm just saying the battery bank could be a $15,000 expense from 5 to 8 year warranty. So you normally, when you hear about a so let's just say 8 year warranty on some of the car manufacturers, they know most likely that battery's going to last for about 8 years, and maybe the 9th or 10th year, you're gonna have to replace it. That's how warranties work. Some of the manufacturers of electric vehicles is 5 years. So they figure maybe 7 or 8 years, you're going to have a major expense or sell it. Get rid of it. So that's not long. Cars can last 20 years, gasoline engines, easily. And that's putting a couple 100,000 miles on them. These electric vehicles, 57,000 mile warranty. That's not much. That's some of the issues. There are pros. They're quiet to run. They don't produce pollution. It's cool that you could refuel it at home, but the thing is, they can take up to 40 hours to charge up the battery bank. So all of a sudden, now the whole weekend, I guess you got to do it on the weekend because you got to go, if you have to go to work, 40 hours, it's almost 2 days. So you're going to be missing your work, or you're going to have to be spending your whole weekend at home, and not being able to drive to the store or anything because your vehicle has to be on a charge, the electric charging machine, which is also a special hookup that has to be wired into your house for that, an additional expense. Other than the 52 grand for a tiny little thing you can't even put your lunchbox in. Might get 2 people in it and a lunchbox, So, this whole clean and green, and like I say, you can't go visit your relatives in the next state over because you're going to run out of electricity on the way there. You can't go on vacation anymore unless you're staying within 50 miles of your home. Granted, some of these cars, they're claiming 100 to 200 mile range. Anyway you look at it, even the maximum 200 miles, that stinks. You're going to spend like 4 days just trying to go see your relatives. You leave, say, New Jersey, and you got to see your relatives up at Cape Cod. You got to spend 3 days and have a charging station. And there's none available. So you stay in a motel room. They don't have charging facilities for electric cars. And then instead of you getting up there in 6 to 8 hours, it's going to take you 3 days. You can't go on long vacations or long distance vacations. The other problems is because of the financial situation we're in, the banks aren't doing car loans. They're getting real stringent on car loans now. It wasn't like in the years past where you could get an easy car loan and with no money down and all that kind of stuff. 2 million cars, over 2 million cars were repossessed in this last year since Sleepy Joe Biden got into office. And the gas prices skyrocketed, and people were losing their jobs, and they can't afford that $350 a month more, and they're all going under, and they can't pay their car payments. So over 2 million cars were repossessed since Sleepy Joe got in there. It's all his lousy politics. Screwing over our oil industry and everything else. Now the banks want to give you a car loan on a $52,000 car. Your credit rating is going to have to be super high. They want $5,000 cash down payment deposit, and your car payments are going to be around $850 a month to buy one of the present electric cars. Democrats aren't telling you any of that. Okay. So let's see. I don't know if there's any more. I mean, there's a lot more to say, but like I say, if you're talking about buying an electric car, a used one, after 8 years, 5 to 8 years, you might be talking. It's not going to get much range anymore. You're not going to be able to drive very far because the batteries are going to go dead. They lose a state of charge each year. I forget what they said, how much percentage of the state of charge is lost, and eventually you have to replace the whole battery bank. It's super expensive. And well, I'm sure I forgot some things. I did take some notes down. But like with these high repossessions of cars, people don't have 52 grand. They're losing their cars. They can't make the payments. So I'm just gonna quickly look over my notes again. There are some new technologies on batteries, and one's called solid state batteries. If they can get into mass production of them, they could get the prices down below what these lithium iron phosphate batteries are costing for these electric cars. So that's a plus. If they're talking 3 to 5 years before they're going to start putting them in hybrid vehicles first, but it's going to take mass production to get the prices down, even on the solid state batteries. But they're much lighter, they're much smaller, and the cost should go down. So that's something that's possible in the future versus these lithium iron batteries. Also, they say clean and green. Lithium causes an unbelievable amount of pollution when they're mining it. They have to, make these huge open pit mines and go deep into the earth, and it just ruins everything. And there's all kinds of like arsenic that's released, which is extremely poisonous. So, just trying to mine the lithium is causing extensive pollution throughout the world where they have the lithium mines. So they're not telling you about that. There's nothing clean and green about mining lithium. Okay. So I think that's about all I'm going to go into here. And so this is Eagle Eric, just trying to wake you up. If you've been conned by these Democrats talking about windmills and solar and electric cars, you won't need your gasoline engines anymore to run everything in our society. Well, you better start doing your research and your homework, because that's total nonsense. All this clean and green that they're suggesting. They have nothing to put on the table that makes any sense. So anyway, just thought you'd like to see that. This is Eagle Eric. I'm camping out in a dispersed area. It's free camping in a national forest in Arizona. It's overcast today, and we're getting rain. It's been raining, which is great, because Arizona's been in a major drought for like 12 years now. So the last 2 weeks it has been raining, so that's been a good thing. Starting to see green grass again, and things are starting to grow again. Okay, this is Eagle Eric, signing off.